You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and on today's show, most people want to live to be 100. But can our money survive a 30-year retirement? We'll talk about that and more with today's guest comedian, who also is a CPA and the CFO for one of the biggest comedy clubs in the world, Los Angeles' Comedy Store, Bob Wheeler. Bob, Joe, and OG will also answer a cry for help from someone who thought, I'd better call Saul. Hi and OG. And by popular demand, you can bet your bottom dollar that I'll swoop in at just the right time with my mind-bending, 100% guaranteed, scrumptious trivia question. And now 3 guys who, between them, could easily polish off a dozen donuts. It's Joe, Bob Wheeler, and OG.
I think I could probably handle half a dozen by myself. I don't know about you guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dozen Donuts for the Win podcast. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, Average Joe Money on Twitter, as Doug, you so eloquently said. But let's start off with the gentleman who's always reliably across the card table from me on a Wednesday. It's Mr. OG. How are you, buddy?
Reliably, unless we have to reschedule it, in which case I'm unreliable. Are you a cream filling or a custard filling guy? Or nothing?
It's got to be the right cream filling. A Boston cream, yes. Yeah. I like the Bavarian cream stuff, but the powdered sugar gets all over my shirt, so I avoid that because I'm a mess. Apple, yes. Jelly donut, probably
That's
not.
what I was talking about, like custard or cream. It's got to be custard.
Yes. Yeah, got to be custard. Yeah,
custard.
The chocolate filling. Yes. And that voice you just heard is our special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Bob Wheeler's back. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I heard custard. I'm in.
Well, you know what, Bob? Like for me, I'm with you, but let's be truthful. For me, if there's still donuts sitting out an hour later, if it's even the cream filled, I'm in.
Doesn't matter what kind it is.
They can be 2 days old. I will eat them and just confirm that they are stale.
Right. What's that joke? I don't stop eating donuts when I'm full. I stop eating when I'm ashamed of myself. That is the deal. So, Bob, what have you been up to since the last time we talked?
Lots of taxes. We don't get an extension in California this year, so we're actually going to do them on time.
What's up with that, huh?
I know. What? Deadlines? Real ones? So that's the exciting time, watching everybody freak out.
CPAs, you guys get all excited about the tax world. What is the super most fun thing going on around tax time that you really love diving into?
The $250,000 capital gain exemption.
I had a breakfast mentoring meeting yesterday with a young woman who was just amazing. She is graduating from college with a degree in wealth management, and she reached out hoping for some pointers. And listen, if somebody's in Texarkana and wants to go into this beautiful field of personal finance and helping people get their money together, that is incredible. But even more incredible is how she reached out, how she was trying to network. And I was having a discussion that finding the right person and avoiding the wrong person for a role, that's what can make or break an organization. And we just don't see that many qualified people. So how do you find them? Well, Indeed sponsored jobs is a boost whenever you need to find quality talent. If you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. You can stop struggling to get your job post even seen on other sites. You'll match with quality candidates with Indeed's sponsored jobs. Get matched with and hire quality candidates who can drive the results you need. Reach candidates who meet your specific criteria like skills, certifications, or location. It drives me crazy when I'm matched with all kinds of people who aren't a fit. I don't have that kind of time. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 95% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all the boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored job. And here's what's cool, Stackers. You're going to get $75 in sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support Stacking Benjamins by saying you heard about Indeed right here at Stacking Benjamins. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed.
Did you just go to an ad break when I was telling you about the most exciting capital gains exemption tax break?
What would we do that? No, continue, Bob. I'm sorry.
Do you know how riveting and impactful this tax rule is? It saves lives.
Well, then continue. So you were saying that we get this, we have to be a homeowner.
That's right. You have to be a homeowner. So we eliminate most of the people in the world. People are still surprised by this rule.
In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business.
Damn it, did you just go to another ad break?
No, would we do that? We got Bob Wheeler here. You kidding me? We got Bob. We got OG. We are going to have a great show today, so let's dive in.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamins headlines.
Our headline today comes to us from Investment News, which is an industry rag for people who help other people with their money. This piece is written by Steve Randall. Steve writes, Americans want to live to 100, but can they afford a 30-year retirement? Gentlemen, let's dive in. He says millions of Americans are hoping for the length of retirement previously enjoyed only by those who could afford to give up work in their 50s or live well beyond the average. While official CDC figures show the U.S. life expectancy averages 73.5 years for men and 79.3 years for women, a new report shows ambition to defy the stats, raising the question of how retirees will be able to afford the lifestyle they want. Specifically, the survey from Corbridge Financial and the Longevity Project reveals that 54% of respondents say their goal is to live to 100. But that does not necessarily mean they plan to work longer to fund a retirement running to 3 decades or more, with 40% still aiming to retire between 65 and 69. So guys, let's get this right. 40% of people say they're going to retire between 65 and 69. And then they say that, hey, I'm going to live to 100. I don't know, OG, you talk about math all the time. Not sure math is going to be maybe kind of difficult on that.
It's really interesting to think about the fact that if you retire when you're in your 60s and you live to be 100, you'll probably spend more time in retirement and being a kid than you will having spent time working to accumulate the money for all of that other time, right? The first, obviously, 18 or 20 years or whatever is funded by your folks. But generally speaking, like from that point forward, it's on you. And 100, I think it's light. I think some people should aim higher. I don't know. 100 seems boring.
Bob, how old are you going to be when you pass away?
I'd like to be 101. I mean, because like if I don't want to settle at 100, that's like that's following the herd.
Barely getting your lips above water, right? It's like, just one more chin up. It's like,
one more
breath.
breath.
Get one more.
And then at 100, do you take up like drinking faster and all kinds of smoking and all the drugs?
All of them, everything. And then I'll say that was the key to life.
Yeah.
That's waiting for that moment. It's going to keep me going.
Absolutely. But seriously, you know what this speaks to though, Bob, is that it sounds like a lot of people, thinking about unicorns and rainbows and life after age 60, we're spending a lot of time thinking about getting away. But do you think we're spending enough time talking about what we're going to do after?
No. It's amazing how many clients I still have right now who are in their 50s and 60s saying, I should think about saving some money in my IRA or retirement account.
Wow.
Like you've missed the boat. You'll probably have to go to Florida or somewhere where they have good senior care.
Did they have good senior care in Florida?
Well, they did. I don't know anymore. We were sending people to Florida for a while.
Just go move to the villages and put that loofah on your thing that says that you want a roommate.
Exactly. A lot of roomies.
For people that have no idea what I'm talking
roommates.
about, just go look that up because it's a little creepy in the villages. Guys, we talk about what the wealthiest retirees know. Wes Moss had this great book that we've talked about a lot, I feel like lately. I think that this idea, OG, that I'm just going to play golf or I'm just going to travel for 40 years, is that really what you're going to do? It's got to get deeper than that.
I suspect that there's a couple of different pieces here that you have to consider. The first, obviously, is the money aspect of it, right? Which is like, how am I going to fund all of this? And having a rising lifestyle costs throughout retirement. You get to 60, 65, 70, whatever it is, when you pull the ripcord and you're done working, you're done earning money, but that doesn't mean that your expenses are going to stop increasing. So that's going to continue, at just normal inflation, prices triple every 25 years, give or take. It's hard to picture this, but go get a gallon of milk right now. It's $5. And in a quarter century from now, it's going to be 15. And you go, nah, that's not right. It's like, well, yeah, it is, because it was $1 and now it's $5 and it's going to be 10 and then 20. It's like that's going to continue forever. So you need to have obviously a bunch of savings and a bunch of investments that are going to keep up with inflation. But then there's the other aspect of it in terms of what are you going to do with your time? And what are you going to do with your health? Because nobody wants to live to be 100 or 101 if the last 20 years of their life is uninspiring and full of health issues and all that sort of stuff. So you have to dedicate time to that, and you have to dedicate money to that, because you have to eat right and you have to exercise and you have to go to the doctor and do all these things that consume capital and consume time to be able to do the other stuff that you want to do. It's not this life of, I just get to wake up at 11 o'clock in the morning and drink tea on the front porch and I'm going to live for 40 years. Like that's not very inspiring. In fact, I think a lot of people would argue that that's probably a very uninspiring way to spend 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Well, and I want to start off with what you said first, which was about investing for it, right? Because what I see are financial institutions and product sellers get really excited telling us about all the downturns that we could have, all the bad things. And so, Bob, I don't know how often you see it when you're doing taxes for people, but I got to believe you see people getting into some of these products that historically underperform because they're so worried that the bottom's going to fall out of the stock market and they're not going to keep up.
I have older clients that will tell me, and not even just older clients, oh, I just took all my money out of the stock market and I put it in a bank account because I'm worried. But when it starts going up again, I'm going right back in.
Of course.
People don't think logically. And I talk about mindset a lot. People mostly are not thinking logically about what they need to do with their money. They're thinking emotionally. And I think they are thinking about unicorns. And I think they are pie in the sky without tangible planning and tangible real conversations about how to plan for it.
But it is okay, though, Bob, to feel the emotions. Like, I think you're not telling people not to feel the emotions,
Absolutely.
but just understand where it's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it's great to have fun and believe it's all going to work out, but it's also important to just have the conversations. Name the fears, name the excitement, name all the hopes, dreams, whatever, but then also get down to the nitty gritty and how are we going to make that happen?
Let's also dive into this idea that I'm getting out of the stock market because it's going down.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get back in when it starts going back up. Bob, you're laughing. I'm laughing. Oh, geez, laughing. Why is that not feasible?
You're always going to lose. I mean, if you're buying as it's rising, it's a losing proposition. I mean, I know emotionally people are like, this is worrisome. When it's going down, start buying more. You got to be able to tolerate your emotions.
It's so funny because I actually did this when I was younger. Cerebrally, I knew better, but emotionally, I went and pulled some money just because I thought it was, quote, high. Stuff was high, right? And then one of two things happened. Either A, it kept going up, and then I'm like, well, I can't get back in now. And then when I'm hoping, you know what I'm hoping for then, OG? I'm hoping for the stock market to fall so that I can get back in. Like, screw the rest of my money that's still in. I'm hoping that this particular thing goes down, which if the market, roughly 70% of the time goes up, I'm kind of screwed there.
Well, I think what you talked about at the very beginning of this little section here was most important. It's like the salespeople and the product salespeople are the ones that are driving these sorts of belief systems that are unrealistic for a 30 or, I mean, heck, even a 20-year, retirement period of time. Because how many times do we know these rules of thumb, like you should have your age in bonds, or or target date funds, right? That what you pick the day that you're going to retire or the year you're going to retire, and they get conservative as you get close to retirement, as if you need all of your money on the day you retire. If you retire when you're 60, you need money, obviously, when you're 61. You need money that year. You need money when you're 62, but you need the vast majority of your money somewhere beyond 65 to infinity. So why would you invest your money or have a product or a solution, which is hardly the right word? Why would you have one of these things that is specifically designed to make it so that your money doesn't grow over a long period of time when you really only need short-term money for short-term time? You still need 30-year money and 40-year money. Ask a 25-year-old how they're investing for retirement, and they go, oh, I've got forever. Well, when you're 65, you also have forever. You just have a little bit that you need right now. And that's really the big difference. If you're taking all of the risk off the table, you're taking all of the return off the table. There is no product in the universe of financial products that gives you none of the risk and all of the return. That doesn't exist in real life. Period. Full stop. And anybody who says that they have that solution is full of something.
Full of something that we'd have to be
whatever you want to. Full of custard or cream. One of the two.
Yeah. Go with the one we like the least or the most.
Jelly. You're full of blueberry jelly. Oh, gross.
Blueberry's fine. I'll go with
blueberries are fine, but have you ever had blueberry jelly?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not the same.
Scrumptious. It's delicious.
It's not.
Those are fighting words. I'm coming across the table at you.
Promises.
Which brings up the second. So if the market goes up, I have to fight it off. But these product people, OG, to your point, they're like, hey, safety. When I pull my money out and the market goes down after I pull it up, I feel brilliant, which is completely stupid and it's going to wreck me because I'm going to make bad choices in the future. But then number two, I feel really safe while I'm in cash. And you know how that feels, Bob. I mean, these people, when you're like, no, you got to get back in. They're like, hey, but I'm safe where I'm at. I am look at the market around me. It's going down. What could be the problem?
You know what's so interesting? People love to feel safe. They love to here's my favorite thing at tax time. I lost money in the stock market. I get to write it off. It's a write-off. And I'm like, so you lost money. It's great that we're going to get a benefit from your loss, but you lost. Or they'll come in and go, oh my God, I made money. This sucks.
Oh,
I have to pay. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, you're making money. It feeds right into this piece about not being logical. I've got so many clients that are so upset they have capital gains and so many clients excited that they lost money they get to write off. Priorities.
It's an interesting vein here, Bob, that you opened up, because when I was talking about these products that, you're kind of mentioning too, are these half-explained products, equity index annuities, right? They're going to get a portion of the stock market gains in exchange for you can't lose money. hey, you get to participate in the stock market, which is a crazy way to phrase that and a perfect way to sell it. You're going to get a portion of the stock market gains and you're not going to get any of the downturn. And I want to get back, Bob, to that being a tax trap. But first, let's talk about, why that construct 99.9% of the time, maybe 100% of the time, doesn't work. Why does the equity index annuity not work?
Well, I mean, I hate to just pick on a particular product and say it's not great because, like we've talked about.
Let's do it.
Let's do it anyway. I mean, here's the thing. There's a purpose for every financial product that's out there. The problem with most financial salespeople is if that's all that they're focused on, or if that's where the commission is at, or whatever the case may be, you can spin whatever you need to spin to make it sound like you need to make it sound so you can put food on the table. There's a time and a place for something like an annuity or a whole life policy or something like that. It's just they get applied so incorrectly over over hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Any sort of financial product, this goes back to, whether it's an index annuity or a whole life policy or an investment. We see people who say like, oh, this investment pays me a 17% dividend. That's awesome. It's like, well, what's the other end of that stick? Like, that doesn't mean it's awesome. It just means that they're, spending all of their cash flow right now and not reinvesting in the market. I mean, or reinvesting in their product. So an index annuity works very simply in that the insurance company will write a contract with you and guarantee that you're going to get a certain percentage of the overall return of a specific index, whether it's the S&P or any other number of indexes that you pick. And in exchange for that, they will make sure that the account value doesn't go down. Well, they're ensuring that the account value doesn't go down because they're taking all of the upside beyond a certain amount. So they might say, well, we'll give you 40% of the upside and 0% of the downside. Well, it doesn't take what do you call them, Joe? Rocket drivers?
Rocket driver.
It doesn't take a rocket driver.
Which I don't know if you know that term, Bob, but a rocket driver is like a rocket scientist, but they actually drive the rocket.
They're driving the rocket.
I love it.
I actually heard a financial planner who was an idiot in my early days of financial planning. I was getting ready to go home and I could hear him in the conference room with a client of his saying, well, it doesn't take a rocket driver to understand this. And that was totally something Frank would say, by the way, which is why none of us could figure out how Frank ever got a client, by the way. But it doesn't take a rocket driver.
Doesn't take a rocket driver.
He wasn't a rocket driver. He was a salesman.
Yeah. At the end of the day, there is no free lunch. If you need market returns, which you need to have for long-term spending ability, that's the only thing that outpaces inflation is equity returns, the ownership of businesses, period. That's it. So if you're going to have those things, you have to be okay with the ups and downs of being a business owner. Being a business owner at a grand scale, like owning Apple or Amazon or whatever as part of your investment portfolio, you're still a part business owner, and they have good years and not so good years. But that's the exchange that you get for having a return that's greater than the money sitting in cash. And
looking into a company like Apple and just going, do you know who I am? I don't know if you know this, but I own a big piece of this company.
I own 0.000000614% of this company.
Bob, have you tried that?
I have not.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Joe does it all the time. Texarkana.
I do.
In Hollywood, that just doesn't work. Everybody's like, yeah, whatever. Who doesn't have an Oscar and an HBO special? Get over yourself.
Oh, you only have a podcast?
Oh,
we all have those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This idea, OG, though, the equity index annuity, to be clear, when you talk about the participation rate, you can go back and do that math. And usually doesn't just a fixed annuity rate often beat what that participation would be?
Every product's different, but yeah, I mean, if you're going to use it for a part of your investment portfolio, you have to assume that it's going to be something like cash or something like fixed income. That's the long-term rate, because when you cap the upside, even though you're taking away the negatives, the average goes way, 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 way down. So we see that most of the average returns are 3%, maybe 4% over long periods of time. And that's much more like a cash return or much more like a fixed income return, not an equity return.
And then, Bob, the second thing about annuities, and to your point, people going, oh, I had to pay taxes. I read a thing recently. This is why people don't take money out of annuities, is because it's last in, first out, meaning that interest inside the annuity is going to then build up, and you've got to pull out all of the interest before you actually spend the money. So you must see people that go, I'm just not going to spend any money because I don't want to pay the tax, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I just had a client in, the RMD is $250,000 a year. The RMD, $250,000.
Wow.
Very annoyed that they're paying, believe it or not, their effective rate is about 18% because of some other stuff going on.
Hold on a second. Before you get to the rest of that story, I want to define for people because Bob, what you just said went over a lot of people's head.
Oh, okay.
The RMD is the requirement of distribution. You have to take this later in retirement. We'll just leave it there. And it's based on your age, but a requirement of distribution of $250,000 means there's probably some number like $1 bajillion in this IRA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm thinking your RMD is 250 and you're complaining that you're not even in the highest tax bracket. And they're older, but I love that they're planning for their kids, at 89 years old. They're still upset about paying tax with all that money coming in. They are set for the next 3 years.
But how do you tell somebody like that to spend their money? The reason they got that money in the first place, Bob, was that they were natural savers and not spenders.
It's really hard. I've got a client that now it's been 6 or 7 years that he's got about $6-7 million, all just sitting, won't spend a dime, won't remodel the house, won't take a trip, just in case, because something could happen.
Yeah.
I try to force clients. I'm like, you must spend this much money by the time I talk to you next year. Next year, they're like, I didn't do it. I couldn't.
Oh.
If you're saving your whole life, at some point, have a little fun with it.
But it puts a pit in my stomach. I mean,
Yep.
oh, gee, there's two sides of this. Somebody wants a 40-year retirement and you can't get them to save any money because they're busy YOLOing it up today. And then they're going to YOLO themselves out of money by the time they're 80 when they are going to live to 100. And then on the other side, you get the person who's the Uber saver who can easily do it. And then they get to retirement and they forget to have fun, which means that they probably won't live to 100. I mean, all the studies show if you've no purpose, no hobbies, no nothing, you're probably not going to make it that far.
Bob, I've got a real great solution for this, by the way. The next time that you meet with these folks, you just adjust your bill to the inverse of their spending.
I will charge you whatever you don't spend.
You just go like, look, I need you to spend $400K this year on whatever you want. And they go, I couldn't do it. Just go, no problem. I understand. Here's my invoice, $350 to me, $50 to you. See how this is going to work? And then they go, whoa, wait a second.
Like
I'm going to spend $400. You go, mission accomplished.
I like it.
There it is.
Well, it's just real quick, just talking about planning and not planning. I recently had somebody die unexpectedly. They have amassed $30 million worth of real estate and all this stuff. And the family, who could care less, in 9 months has liquidated everything just so they can get to their cash. And that's theirs now. And the person who spent their whole life working so hard in LA to be able to buy 20 pieces of real estate with 15 units and 10 units, like to just watch it all go in 9 months, somebody's whole life. And people just don't want to think that they're going to die. So let's just not talk about it.
LA, Texarkana, Bob, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
I mean, you buy 9 or 10 pieces of real estate in Texarkana or LA, huge sum of money. But did you actually just use the phrase die unexpectedly? Well, like, isn't that like 97%?
Well, that is most of us, right? I mean, we're going to die, and people freak out when I tell them that. But yes, he was younger then. And even though they were telling him, hey, your health is taking a turn, he's like, it'll be fine. So there's a little denial. But.
Oh, that's horrible. That is horrible. Well, and even worse is he spends a lifetime building it and it just all gets torn down quickly.
Yeah.
And probably then wasted on stuff because you feel like a lottery winner.
Oh, yeah. These people didn't have to feel an ounce of sweat to get this money. They're just, and most people, I think, will spend right back to the comfortable balance. And so if they're used to $5,000, they'll blow through $2 or $3 million just to get back to that number they're really comfortable with.
I just spent a little time crapping all over annuities, but realistically, I mean, I think if somebody is going to live to 100, isn't this something CFPs point to, is that maybe some longevity insurance might be something we might think about?
The latest financial products in the annuity space are on these lifelong annuities, which are basically, the concept is that you don't start them until you're in your 80s and 90s. versus you have saved money, you put it in, now you turn on this stream of income when you're 65 and you're ready to retire. Instead, it's the opposite. It's like, this is your longevity insurance of like, oh crap, I lived too long. How do I have some money when I'm in my 90s? Then you turn on this final bucket, so to speak, and it produces an income. But the reality is again, it's the same thing. You're paying for a guarantee. Well, what happens when you pay for a guarantee? You take some return off the table, because that's just how that works. You can't have both the guarantee and all the upside at the same time. You could do this on your own and with your own tranche of money and figure out and do the math and go, well, I'm going to need X dollars between 90 and 100, and I'm 60 today. I need to set aside a bucket, and this is my age 90 money, which is what you should be doing anyway. So you can go buy a product and have an insurance company do this guarantee for you, and it costs you some money, or you could just do it yourself if you can do the math and trust yourself not to, like Bob said, blow through 2 million in a couple of years, for fun. Although that does sound like a pretty enjoyable couple
if anybody
years,
can do that, you can do it, OG.
Well, trust me, I've modeled that behavior. I assure you, I've already spent the next 2 million in my mind. That's the downside. Nothing's new for me, because I'm like, oh, I've already consumed all that.
I mean, one thing to think about though, like if you're 90, you may not be in your best thinking days. Those last 5 to 10 years, you really need to have that stuff set up ahead of time.
Absolutely.
You may be needing home care. You may need assisted living. There's like so many things where you're not going to have a lot of choice. It's going to be made for you at a certain point. And I think a lot of people just don't take that into consideration. You don't have a lot of choices at that point.
Bob, I'm 56. They say that about me now. You might not be in your best thinking.
I've said that about you for years.
Joe, I don't know if you know this, but you're on a podcast. What the hell are you thinking?
It's all downhill from here.
That's right. What's going on?
Halfway to 112, Joe.
Then they hand me a jelly donut and I'm good.
There you go.
Just very happy. Talking to the microphone, Joe. Well, guys, we're going to continue this conversation in our newsletter, the 201. 201 comes out the day after each of our Monday, Wednesday podcast is. Podcast is.
Yes.
Our podcast is.
Pod I.
Yeah. Which means it's on Tuesday, Thursday, if you can do that math, the day after. Oh, wow. StackingBenjamins.com/201 gets you there. And Kevin Bailey provides a bunch of links and data and really dives even deeper into this topic than we're able to. And clearly, when it comes to trying to plan a 40-year retirement, to your point, Mr. Wheeler, there's a lot of planning that needs to happen, much more than what we're able to do here in 20 minutes. We're going to help a stacker in need here in a minute. But before that, Doug, I think you've got today's trivia question for us.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we're throwing a wild celebration here in the basement because this was a huge money-making date in history. Way back on today's date in 1790, the modern shoelace was patented. Cha-ching! The patent included something called an aglet. Here's today's question. What part of the shoelace is the aglet? I'll be back right after I contemplate the fact that I'm honoring this huge shoestring celebration while wearing Velcro shoes. That's a little bit awkward.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. And what a party we're having down here. Woohoo! Hey, keep it down back there. I'm trying to work. Everyone has their shoes off, and we're playing songs like I Will Walk 500 Miles and These Boots Were Made for Walking. Joe's mom says it's a total hoot. And even a bigger hoot, me getting you the answer to today's epic trivia question. The modern shoelace patent included something called an aglet. What the f*** is an aglet? Well, stackers, I realized during the break that this is a throwaway. You know why? If you took just 2 seconds to think about it, a shoelace is only made up of two parts, the aglet and the stringy part. So, and unless you thought the aglet was the stringy part, you came to the amazing realization that through the process of elimination, the aglet was actually the reinforced tip. That's kind of funny. You're incredible, stackers. Can't believe you figured it out. And I love you so much that I'm abandoning you to go party again while you hang out with Joe, OG, and Bob Wheeler.
Hi, I'm David Hirsch, and when I'm not hosting the Dad to Dad podcast for the Special Fathers Network, which is a dad-to-dad mentoring program for fathers raising kids with special needs, I'm stacking Benjamins.
And we thought that was a throwaway, and Bob, still you managed to get it wrong.
That's pretty sad. I realized as you were talking, I thought, you know what? The shoelace. Oh, not the part of the shoe. That's why I'm not in the shoe industry.
And that's exactly why you became a CPA, because he failed out of the shoelace industry. True story. Yeah.
True story.
Oh, gee, let's talk about the reinforced tip. You all about the reinforced tip?
Nope, not going there.
All right, well, we'll just move on then. Hey, time for us to help a stacker in need, because you know what, Bob? There was a stacker who went, you know what? I better call Saul, C-High, and OG, and Bob.
Here we are.
This is when a stacker really needs some financial help, and much like Spider-Man swooping in with the answer to a financial question. Does Spider-Man handle financial questions? He doesn't, which is why they have the three of us. So how about, guys, we swoop in and help stacker Sandy with a problem. Hey, Sandy.
Hey, Joe and OG and Doug. I stopped at my sister's house the other day, and she and her daughter were watching a video about velocity banking. The guy's talking fast, writing on a whiteboard, and trying to say how they could pay off a mortgage by using a HELOC. The little bit I could tell, it looked like a combination of a shell game, a hocus pocus, and robbing Peter to pay Paul. I just wondered what your take was on it. Seems to me they'd be better off to pay extra on the mortgage and call it good.
No, God, please,
anyway,
no!
I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you.
OG, I think you just got Sandy OG's opinion right there with a little Steve Carell thrown in. Bob, you familiar with velocity banking?
It's sort of the using your credit line to pay off a loan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the math behind it. Basically, the selling point on this is that your home equity line of credit is a simple interest calculation versus the amortized interest calculation of, a 30-year mortgage. On paper, would you rather have simple interest or amortized? Well, obviously simple, right? Especially, you talk about like If you're going to pay extra on your house, when is it best to pay extra at the beginning or the end? Well, it's best to pay it at the beginning. So the way that this is set up, it's like you have your house mortgage, and then you get a line of credit, and you take this big line of credit, whatever it is, $200,000 HELOC, and you pay off your house, or you pay off a big chunk of your house. Therefore, you've accelerated your path on that amortization table. So now your interest payments are going to be a little bit lower moving forward. And you have the simple interest on the other side. On paper, it works. The downside is that now you have two payments. Home equity interest or HELOC interest is generally market-based. So right now, I had a HELOC that was at 2% for a long time. Them's were the glory days. And now it's sitting at 9er. Did I catch a 9er in there? Yes, it's a 9er. And that's way different than my current mortgage, which is, at 2.5. So why would I pay off a 2.5% mortgage with a 9%? That doesn't make any sense. So this is a lot less attractive, even on the math side of the equation. In fact, I would argue it probably doesn't even work math-wise anymore because of the variability of the interest rates. Plus, now you have two payments. This works really well if you have boatloads of extra cash. You're like, I've got $10,000 a month left over every month in my bank account, and I don't know what to do with it. And you can game this out so that you can pay a little bit less interest and you can accelerate this pay down. Well, let's be real. If you have a $200,000 HELOC and a $0 primary, or you have a $200,000 primary mortgage and a $0 HELOC, what's the difference to your net worth? Like, what's the difference to your financial position? It's the same outcome. You still have a net worth of whatever, minus 200,000 in debt. If you have just a little bit of extra pay on your house, pay the little bit on your house. Don't go through all these extra hoops to try to game the system. It's not going to work. If you've got a bunch of extra, I would say pay it on your house anyway, and just $10,000 a month, just pay it off in 20 months and be done. You don't have to go get a line of credit and all that other sort of nonsense. So this is also a lot of times tied with a software solution, which is really what this company is selling. Probably it's like, hey, we can help you figure out how to do this if you buy our software for $1,000 or $100 or whatever it is. Or it's tied to a company that sells the lines of credit, right? Like a mortgage-based company or a mortgage broker of some kind. So, there's some incentive there for them to sell this dream, so to speak. Again, it's one of those solutions that somebody out there is going, no, it worked for me. Like, we did it and we knocked it out and we saved all this money. And it's like, yep, it does. If you do it exactly right and the stars are perfectly aligned.
I'm thinking our friend Adam Carroll is a guy who sells those subscriptions.
Yeah,
and has said that it works. And I'm with you, OG. It works until it doesn't.
Yes.
It works until it doesn't.
Yes.
And the problem is when it doesn't, it can really come unraveled and you're frustrated. But man, when it works, it works. But Bob, you were shaking your head no too.
Well, there's a couple things. One, if you're looking from a tax point of view, HELOCs, no deductible interest there. But that may not be even a consideration since many people now take the standard deduction anyway under the current tax law. So that may not be a factor. But the other thing I find when a client comes to me and says, I have this plan and I have to do 32 steps to get this amazing benefit, they're going to screw up one of the steps no matter what. Even with the best laid plans, I know most of my clients won't do it right. And I just try to keep it simple with my clients because ultimately that's easier for them to remember.
Well, behaviorally, if we don't remember how it works, Bob, how can we have good behavior if we got no idea what step 32 is?
Right.
It's so frustrating. This is interesting how sometimes we take these round pegs and put them in square holes. When Sandy first was describing this, I thought she was going to be talking about infinite banking, which
the other
involves
type of great banking.
Insurance, right?
Yeah.
Involves insurance and be your own bank, which again, OG, works until it doesn't. And I also know
similar concept.
Yeah. You have to have a lot of money. You stuff it inside of a life insurance policy. The thing they don't tell you is you can't get all of it back initially. Mm-hmm. You can only get back the amount beyond the surrender value. And then, and this is described great in a Money Crashers piece that I will link to in the show notes. Even then, experts in this area talk about how you should probably have a consultant that works with you all the time to make sure that you don't mess up Bob, to your point, the 37 steps to make sure that using your life insurance as a bank account doesn't screw you out of life insurance and a bank account.
Right. Yeah.
When you look at successful people and you look at modeling out what successful people do, very rarely is the answer, let's make this as complicated as humanly possible. You look at the people who are around you who have done the things that you want to do financially. A lot of times it's, I don't know, I just maxed out my 401k and didn't touch it for 30 years. You know what I mean? Like, that's the boring way to do it. And I keep coming back to this over the years because I think that people feel like they're behind when, they're watching this. I bet that Sandy's family who is watching this weren't a bunch of 20-year-olds. These are people who are in their 50s going, oh my gosh, I've still got this big mortgage. I feel behind in my savings and investing. I have no idea how to send the kids to college because I haven't thought about it yet. I need to do something radical to catch up. And the answer is you don't have to do anything radical. It's profound, the value of compounding over time, of just doing the basic, simple things on repeat over and over and over again. And if you've got 32 steps, you're going to miss a step. If you've got one, which is get paid, transfer money into bank account, transfer money into 401k, transfer money into pay my mortgage off faster, whatever, the benefit of that will start to snowball. Our problem as humans is that we can't see compounding, and we can't see it in advance for sure. We can maybe kind of get a glimpse of it when we look in the rearview mirror. And anybody who's got, $1 million in their investment account or something like that, they can look back and go, gosh, I remember I only had 500K 5 years ago. Now I have $1 million. Like, oh, whoa, it worked. Like you can kind of get a glimpse of it in the rearview mirror. But when you sit down with a calculator and you do the math and you go, oh, I'm going to save, 6,000 in my Roth, 7,000 in my Roth for the next 30 years. What do you mean I'm going to have $3 million? No, that can't be right. Erase. Try again, and we just don't have the ability to process that in our brains. So we don't believe it. So when you're 50 or you're 45 and you're going like, oh crap, I'm behind. You feel like you have to do all this extra stuff to get caught up. You don't have to. You have plenty of time. Are you going to retire at 55 if you haven't saved a penny and you're 50? No, you're not. But guess what? You got to retire. You've already been retired for the first 50 years of your life. Now you got to work a little bit.
You just played early. Right?
Yeah, you did. It is what it is, right? So now you're going to work till you're 70. That's fine too, because people are going to live to be 100, like we talked about earlier. So use simplicity and compounding and just do the normal stuff. You don't have to stretch. You don't have to feel behind. If you're 50 and you're feeling behind, you're not going to get caught up by doing infinite banking or whatever the hell you're talking about here.
Well, and that's what I was thinking, Bob, when you were talking about that earlier, about people saying, I should maybe put some money in an IRA. I should think about this. Those people feel so much regret, and regret is like the world's most useless emotion. It's like you can't go back and fix it. You just start now and go, yeah, let's get on it.
Well, doing the right thing isn't sexy. Fiscal responsibility isn't sexy. It's too simple. I need it to be
says you. Come
amazing.
On. You never dress up in some financial responsibility, put on some Barry White. What are we going to do tonight, honey? Financial responsibility. Ooh.
We're going to balance the spreadsheet.
Talk to me about annuities.
whisper contracts in my ear.
Whole life.
Whole life. How about next 10 minutes? I don't
Even
know.
that's ambitious, Joe.
I think I just made myself throw up in my mouth there. All right. But yeah, Bob, back to the point. Like, you can't go back and do it. Just start now.
Just start.
Thanks, Sandy, for the question. If you've got a question for us, we will swoop in and help. Head to stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail. OG and I, and next time, maybe Doug. Today, Bob. Thanks for the help up. We'll be happy to take your question. But I like that the simplest answer is generally often the right answer versus this complicated stuff. By the way, if your question is more complicated than how do I stay out of a scheme involving 16 different accounts or life insurance, your question is, how do I do a better job financially overall? OG and his team are taking clients. So head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG. That's the link to their calendar, and he will help you get rolling on seeing how his team can help you maybe make better financial decisions overall in the future. All right, let's roll into, gentlemen, our last segment. Bob, you're going to be so excited about this. We get excited about having professional comedians like yourself on and then rolling out some of the worst jokes you've ever heard, because we're doing this contest among our stackers we call the Joke Off, which we took 16 math jokes. We've paired them against each other, and we are down to the final 4. And in our basement Facebook group, people can go in and can vote on these. So head to stackingbenjamins.com/basement, and that'll take you right to the Facebook group. We figured out who our last joke in was going to be because we had these jokes against each other. So Bob, you're a professional. I'm sure you'll see how great these jokes are. We had our number 7 seed by Jeff, and the number 7 seed was, what's the difference between taxes and taxidermy? One's cruel and inhumane, the other's dealing with dead animals.
I like that.
As a tax guy, you like that.
I like that. That's right.
Bob's like, wait, it's the cruel inhumanity that keeps me in business, pal.
Absolutely.
Number 14, hear about the constipated mathematician? He worked it out with a pencil. And then, of course, somebody in our Facebook group said, of course, that was a number 2 pencil. Right?
Of course.
Nope, not that one. That one. There we go.
Point.
Yes, to the point. I'm sure you meant that one too. So which one of those you think won? The constipated mathematician joke or the taxes and taxidermy?
Well, I'm biased. I'm going to go with taxidermy.
Taxes and taxidermy won by a long shot. So congratulations, Jeff. We'll send you a email because we're sending you a book by one of our recent guests who was on the show. I've got tons of great books, and we're going to send one your way for making it to the final 4. All right, guys. You guys are going to weigh in, but you don't have an official vote. You're just like the judges on Dancing with the Stars. You're going to give your opinion, and then we'll leave it up to the stackers. So to reach the finals, this is the number 9 seed against the number 4 seed. The number 9 seed is Jen. Jen had this one. Saw my math teacher with a piece of graph paper yesterday. I think he might be plotting something. What do you think about that one? You're going to tell that one on stage soon, Bob?
It'll be a backup. It'll be a backup. I'm going to save it in my back pocket.
For sure, maybe.
You're so judicious with that. You're so it'll be way back up.
In 1920, that would be like solid.
That'd be fabulous. The number 4 joke. So this is the other one. So we've got Jen's joke about plotting something versus Susie's joke. It's a pretty hard time for me financially. I wasn't able to pay the bills to my exorcist, and as a consequence, I've been repossessed. We made the comedian laugh with that one.
I got to go with Susie. I got to go with Susie.
Got repossessed. Oh, gee, how about you?
Out of the two, I like the first one a little bit better.
Oh, you do like the plotting something. See,
yeah.
I'm with Bob on that one. I think the exorcist repossessed. Good dad joke. Good dad humor. Of course, both of we're at the final. These are the best of the best. Bob's like, holy crap, what were the worst ones like? I know. Hold on.
You don't want to know.
In the other bracket, it's number 11 seed Melvin against number 7 Jeff. Of course, we just heard the number 7 that moved up. Western Receipt Taxes and Taxidermy. One's cruel and inhumane. The other deals with dead animals. Melvin's joke, Bob, that's going up against it's this one. College is the opposite of a kidnapping. They demand $100,000 from you, or they'll send your kid back.
That one's good. Taxidermy, I think, is solid.
The tax guy stays in his lane and goes with taxes and taxidermy. So, Jeff, a pat on the back. Oh, gee, how about you?
Yeah, taxidermy.
All right. Well, we will see.
Pretty solid joke.
Everybody go to the Facebook group and cast your votes. To scroll down, and you'll see that Karen, our producer of this fine show, has listed both of those. Thanks to everybody who played. I want to round out this Batch Porch segment, Bob, by talking about, as we've had comedians on the show, we talk about this, what happens on stage, and are you nervous? The question we haven't asked is just how hard it would be to put together 5 minutes of comedy, let alone 10 or 15. Like, how much time does it take you to put together some solid stand-up?
Well, it depends, because I've had certain life experiences that, like, something really weird happened at the doctor's, and I can write that down, tell a joke, and I don't spend any time on it. People are like, oh my God, that's hilarious. I've had other jokes that I've worked on for 2 years that I just kept fine tuning. So it really depends. If you're looking for setup, punch, setup, punch. It's going to take a little bit longer than somebody that's storytelling, that's had some just funny stories that have happened, or is just a great storyteller. But yes, the first time I was up doing 3 minutes, it felt like it took 20 years to get 3 minutes. And even that, I was like, oh my God, I hope they don't ask me to do 4. That God forbid. Now I'm like, what? What, I have to get off? Let me wait. I have more stuff. You're not.
But wait,
try
hold
this.
on.
But it's hard. It's hard.
I actually had a friend's son who is just starting his stand-up journey, and he's going to the open mic nights, right? And just trying to get on there. And he had a host that was busy talking to somebody, Bob, in the back, and he was supposed to do 5 minutes, and they left him up there for 9. And he said it was painful for everybody. He's but at 4.5 minutes, he was done with his material. And then he had more and more time. And he's just looking in the back of the room, and he's watching the guy who's supposed to be coming up on stage to get him off the stage. And he's got to keep talking.
Oh my God. Well, see, I would have just said, and that's my time. But I do appreciate you said that he was on a comedy journey, not a career, because it's a big difference. Most people are on a journey with their comedy.
Well, it's hard. We were, I was reading Scott Galloway's book for an upcoming interview we're going to do with him. And Scott was talking about how some of these passion careers, like even if you're the top 1%, you're not making money. You got to be in the top 0.1% to actually hit it, I think, in comedy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy that I have my day job. I love doing comedy. I get to perform at the Comedy Store. I don't need to be on the road. I don't need to be making millions. I don't need to be super famous. But those that are really hoping for it, it's a long shot. I mean, the Comedy Store, and probably every comedy club, but the Comedy Store, Mitz used to say, we crush more dreams than we make happen, right?
Put that on a t-shirt.
Is that your tagline? The Comedy
we crush
Store.
Dreams.
We crush.
And because it's so hard. And look, a lot of people, especially the Comedy Store, has impacted so many people in the industry, whether they're actors or producers or like night show hosts. Like the Comedy Store has had that, but we crush a lot of dreams. Because Mitzi never encouraged mediocrity. She's like, don't encourage it.
Last question. When you see up and coming comedians, are there truly comedians that are overlooked and don't get their break? Or are the good ones like, wow, the good ones?
They get lost and missed all the time.
Really?
There are brilliant comics out there, just like they're brilliant actors. But there are so many comics that just never get the light of day. They don't get the right space. They don't get seen. But, you got to keep showing up and hope you get your moment.
When you and I talked last, you've got a fantastic podcast, Money You Should Ask. Yeah. You guys were talking about maybe changing the format up a little bit there. Have you done that? What's coming up on Money You Should Ask?
Yeah, we're starting to do some solo episodes. So doing 2 episodes a month. It's going to be solo episodes talking about either practical, one will be practical, money and tax and all that. And the other one's going to be focusing on the money mindset. Because that's still the biggest thing holding so many people back. That mindset. I don't deserve it. I can't do it. Everybody else can have success. It's just a matter of diving in and actually dealing with it.
It is so wild how much of it's between your ears. And the longer we do this, the more we see that. It isn't about the, everybody's looking for the big, huge hack, to use a hack term, but they don't get it. OG, it truly is. Just do the little things.
It's a simplicity. You have to simplify before you can multiply. That's a great phrase from our coaching program, as you know. And I think there's so much chaos that goes on with money. Just trying to keep it straight. Take a look at something as simple as like credit card reward points. And, I'm kind of a junkie when it comes to that. It's like trying to keep that straight. Even if you're not using a credit card, you have to like pay attention to it and make sure it doesn't get hacked. And, there's so many different parts of finance. And if you're trying to be on the right path, the first place to start isn't go open 32 credit cards. It's not go do infinite banking. It's have a cash reserve, pay off your consumer credit card bills. It's the little things in the right order every time always works.
So important. And by the way, Money Should Ask, available where finer podcasts are distributed, correct?
Absolutely. We do not do the less fine.
No, of course not.
Platforms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only the platforms where Stacking Benjamins is on, the finest one. So pause right now.
The finest.
Go give a listen to Bob's awesome show. We'll link to it in the show notes if you forget. Bob, thanks for joining us again, man, and being our ride-along mentor today. I super appreciate it, especially during tax time. You got other stuff you got to be doing.
Hey, man, I just missed a deduction on somebody, but that's okay.
That's okay.
He's going to deduct it from our paycheck, right? But I'm bummed.
I appreciate it. Always fun.
All right, Doug, you got it from here, man. What are our big takeaways today?
So what should we do based on what we've learned today? First, take some advice from Bob, OG, and Joe. Planning your retirement? Think 30 years. While you can't go back and change the past, you can begin right now. Pause this podcast and get rolling. Or give me about 30 seconds because I've only got a couple of more of these. And then you can get started. Second, thinking about using insurance for another purpose other than insurance or for using complicated methods to pay down debt? While these methods can work, there are much simpler methods that will help you keep on keeping on. Don't overcomplicate your life. But the big lesson? Don't use this process of elimination thing in your everyday life. Joe's mom never said, I could not eat all of her chocolate chip cookies, and now I'm washing windows again. Cautionary tale, kids. Don't let this happen to you. The show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Our producer is Karen Repine. This show is written by Lisa Curry, who's also the host of the Long Story Long podcast, with help from me, Joe, Kate Younkin, Karen Repine, and Doc G from the Earn and Invest podcast. Kevin Bailey helps us take a deeper dive into all the topics covered on each episode in our newsletter called The 201. You'll find the 411 on all things money at The 201. Just visit stackingbenjamins.com/201. Wonder how beautiful we all are? Of course you do, but you'll never know if you don't check out our YouTube version of the show, engineered by Tina Eichenberg. Then you'll see once and for all that I'm the best thing going for this podcast. Once we bottle up all this goodness, we ship it to our engineer, the amazing Steve Stewart. Steve helps the rest of our team sound nearly as good as I do right now. Want to chat with friends about the show later? Mom's friend Gertrude, Stacy Doe, and Julia Garib are our social media coordinators, and Gertrude is the room mother in our Facebook group called The Basement. So say hello when you see us posting online. To join all the basement fun with other stackers, type stackingbenjamins.com/basement. For more interactive fun, join us on Instagram every Tuesday and Thursday for our Instagram Lives. Kate Younkin and Joe host those weekly. Not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.